Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 647 on Tuesday, the 2nd of September 2025. Hello, I'm Andrew, and no, there isn't any Alan this week, unfortunately. However, this week you will hear one item that will remind you of the little Dutch boy story. In new car news, you'll learn about one car that is nearly quicker to 60 than it is to say its name. And in points of interest, you get to see how enjoyable a car park in the West Midlands can be. But first, we have a touch of follow-up, and it's to do with the electric car grant. Now, the government has tightened the EV grant scheme. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the farce that was the loophole that if one model of the range was under £37,000 and met all the other eligibility requirements, then all the vehicles that shared the same powertrain would actually be eligible as well, no matter what the cost. Hence, the Nissan Ira managed to get in somehow. It's 44,000, I think their most expensive one was. But now the government has decided that they're going to sort of put a cap on that, and they've decided £42,000. So only £5,000 over the original eligibility mark is able to get the grant of either £1,500 or £3,750. Insert your own shaking head emoji, your own head on desk emoji. It's just ridiculous. What a waste. However, that wasn't the only news that came out. We finally have two cars that are in band one of the grant, which means that they are eligible for the full £3,750 discount. That is the Ford Puma Gen E and the E Torino Courier. Congratulations to Ford on that for managing to be the first car maker to have met all the rules. However, as we've seen with the other ones, other vehicles that have been approved, I'm not sure how tightly they hit the rules, but there we go. Anyway, on to new news. I'm going to start with actually some really worrying and bad news, which is that LOTUS is to cut 550 more jobs in the UK, which means it will be cutting roughly 40% of its UK workforce. However, in wonderful business word salad, it decided that it is actually still committed to Hethel. And I'm going to quote here from the company statement that is on the Autocar article linked in the show notes. The proposal is designed to enable Lotus cars to operate with a flexible and agile business model, allowing it to ramp operations and resources in line with demand, as and when needed. Oh dear. Never mind. It just doesn't look good for Lotus, does it? At all, for the reasons we've said many times. But now the full debt for the first quarter of 2025, because the article that's linked doesn't have details about the first half financial result, which were released on the 29th or 30th of August. And their debts go up to $3.3 billion. They've raised $300 million on a share sale, apparently. It just looks grim because their sales dropped 42% in the first quarter of the year. I don't know. I don't know what they do to fix this. I don't know how they manage it because it just doesn't look like what they're trying to do is working at all. But obviously, thoughts with all the staff members who've been let go. Good luck to everyone in the company, and I hope they manage to come up with some sort of idea on how they're going to fix things. I really do. Anyway, moving on. And we're going to go to the Renault Group. And the headline news is that Dacia's CEO, Denis Livaux, has stepped down after 4 years. He's apparently left of his own decision, and he has been replaced by Catherine Adt, who was Mercedes-Benz vice president. And she's done a lot of work in Mercedes. She's got 20-odd years experience in the car industry. And you have to, first of all, congratulate Livaux on what he managed to achieve with Dacia. The vehicles they brought out have been a great success. They're including the latest one, which is the Bigster. They have hit a corner of the market that has really resonated. Dacia often are the top one or two best registered selling cars in Europe every month. They've done a fantastic job there. But that's not the only changes that have been made within the Renault Group now that they have a new CEO. The Renault brand CEO, Fabrice Cambolive, is now also being given the role of Chief Growth Officer for both Renault and Dacia. On top of that, Philippe Brunet has been named as the Renault Group's new Chief Technology Officer, which has taken that piece off Philippe Krief's desk so he can concentrate on just being the CEO of performance brand Alpine. Going to be interesting watching how they're going, because certainly from a design perspective and what appears to be the capabilities behind it, the Renault Group are doing a cracking job right now. Right, we're going to move on to Stellantis, and this is the news that they have shelved their Level 3 driver assistance program. As we know, they've had a new CEO recently, and they have been struggling financially for quite some time. And the new CEO, Antonio Filosa, said that he was going to have to make tough decisions, and this appears to be one of those tough decisions. Because back in February, the company said this was ready to deploy, which sort of gives the impression that perhaps it wasn't ready to deploy if they're shelving it, because it still hasn't come out now. We also have to remember that Level 3 on the SAE automated and autonomous driving level list is where the first time the car companies themselves will be held responsible, only be held responsible for the use of their system. Whereas when it comes to level 0, level 1 and level 2, you as the driver are immediately held responsible for any issue or incident with the car. And they've stepped back from this. It would appear that they found it too hard to do, it's too expensive, and they still haven't got anything that they can put on the road. Associated with that is a reminder that any level 2 plus or similarly marketed thing is not real in terms of SAE levels. The SAE levels are purely whole numbers. There is no plus, there's no addition, there's none of that other stuff. So that is purely marketing. And if they say level 2 plus, what they're actually trying to deploy is a level 3, but not be held responsible. Just remember that if you see it. Finally, some good news, and it's in the UK this time. And there is a UK consortium that has secured £8.1 million of investment to scale up battery recycling technology. The idea is for them to develop a large-scale process for recovering lithium, nickel, and cobalt from end-of-life EV batteries. The consortium is made up of JLR, Libat Recycling, WMG at the University of Warwick, and Mint Innovation. This is really important. If we can get to a point where we are actually able to recover the minerals within batteries, it will reduce our need to dig more and larger holes in the ground, causing the problems associated with that, let alone the processing, and etc., etc. And it also gives us this more circular battery economy that we're supposed to be after. And let's not forget that the EU demands there should be something in the region of 75% of materials must be recycled. And we're supposed to be, or car companies are supposed to be doing that now, I think, or certainly by 2030 at the very latest. And all the projections, when you read reports that say how good things are going to be in terms of lack of CO2, compounding, those sort of issues, they are all presuming that these using recycled materials from processes that we do not have at scale yet. We do not have them at scale across the world. We have some bits that are doing things, but it's not at the scale that's remotely what's required by legislation. Just bear that in mind as well. But this is brilliant news. The project is going to run over 3 years. It's going to be in the West Midlands, and it aims to prove, according to this Electrive article, prove battery recycling as a strategic pillar of the UK's electrification roadmap. Good luck to them. Hope they can manage that. Right, final article of the first part of the show. And this is from TechCrunch, and the headline reads, Security researcher maps hundreds of TESLAMATE servers spilling Tesla vehicle data. TESLAMATE is an open source data logger which allows a Tesla owner to self-host all the data that is sent out from their car. And it can go back to their own computer, so then they can have a look at the vehicle's temperature, the battery health, charging sessions, as well as maps so therefore where it's been, the speed, pretty much in real time. Now, there is a security researcher who is called Soifala Kilic, and he's founder of the cybersecurity company SwordSec, and he's found over 1,300 internet-exposed TESLAMATE dashboards on the internet. He's fully aware this was probably made public by mistake, but the information was stored without needing a password, or access to the stored data without needing a password. Ah, dear. This is not the first time that TESLAMATE has had this problem. Previously, in 2022, there were dozens of these dashboards exposed. Just don't use third-party stuff if you can help it. But it does give you an idea of exactly how much information comes out of your car. Please, if you have a Tesla and you listen to the show, or you know someone who does, find out if they're using that and then tell them to close it down or make it secure at least. And that is the end of the first part. That means it's Guilt Minute, and it's the quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel that the Motoring Podcast is worth a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, and we completely understand that, then you can help us by following for free from a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show in whatever way your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all of that, and some of you do, so thank you very much indeed, then the last thing you can do is recommend us to your friends and colleagues. That means we move on to new car news. Again, it's still a bit thin on the ground. We are approaching the Munich Motor Show, and so expect stuff to start coming out, but we will wait until full information has been released, or it is the week of the motor show itself. But the first one is that a Chinese state-owned company is coming to the UK with, according to this Autocar article, a Tesla Model Y rival. Changan is the company that is coming here. Apparently, the UK is a primary market, according to Changan UK MD Nick Thomas. They are apparently, again, I'm quoting from him from the article, "We're not just launching a new car, but a fully capable ecosystem to support it, along with future models we will bring to the UK." Okay, looks-wise, it's an SUV that looks like an car. Very much, dear AI, please design me an SUV that looks inoffensive. And there you are, really. It's going to have a WLTP range of 295 miles from an 80 kilowatt-hour battery pack. It's got a rear-mounted 215 brake horsepower motor and a 0 to 62 time of 7.9 seconds. Standard kit will include heat pump, keyless entry, and a 15.6 infotainment touchscreen and heated seats. There's going to be 20 sites across the UK that will sell the Deepal S07. That's what this one is going to be. And its prices will start at £39,990. Okay. Just remember, Chinese state-owned. Do with that information what you will. But they are quite an old company. They began as an armaments manufacturer in 1862, and they started making motorized vehicles in 1959. They're one of the biggest in China, actually. They sold 2.68 million models last year in Asia, the Middle East, and Russia. They've got a R&D center also in Birmingham. Do click the link in the show notes if you want a nearly £40,000 Chinese SUV. Right, moving on, and we're going to go to Subaru. And this information came out a while ago, but we just haven't had the space in the show to talk about it. And we talked initially about the Trail Seeker, which is a jacked-up electric estate. However, when it comes to the UK, it's going to be known as the E-Outback, which is probably sensible because that's at least a name that will be recognized. It's going to have 375 brake horsepower, 4x4, and it's going to share the underpinnings of the Solterra. And it also has just a fraction more luggage space than the Solterra as well. We're all fans of a jacked-up estate on this show, particularly if you slap on a load of cladding, which they have done. Well done, Subaru. There's another tick. But they have said that Subaru has really gone to town on this one. It's going to feature 70% of Subaru parts, and it'll be built in one of the company's own factories, whilst the Solterra is manufactured by Toyota, because that is the twin with the BZ4X. And don't forget, there's the Uncharted coming out, which is based on the CHR+. There's going to be a pair of 201 brake horsepower motors in each axle. 0 to 60 mile per hour is 4.4 seconds. And it's going to have a WLTP combined range of up to 279 miles, thanks to a 74.7 kilowatt hour battery. It can be charged up to 150 kilowatts, and so 10 to 80% can take less than 35 minutes, all environmental conditions allowing. It's also, and this might be important actually for the market it's aiming at, it can tow up to 1,588 kilograms. It's got several drive modes, as you would expect. Subaru have lent into it being very capable off-road as well. So there's snow and deep mud, as well as hill descent control. Subaru has yet to announce pricing, but the Trailseeker is likely to be positioned above the Solterra. Next year, we get to see it. And we will round out new car news with something really rather ridiculous. And this is the 3 million Lamborghini Fenomeno. I think that's how you pronounce it. It is based on the Revoluto, which is their hybrid hypercar. Yeah, it's going to be a limited run, no kidding, at 3 million. And its power has been boosted to from only 1,001 brake horsepower in the Revoluto to 1,065 brake horsepower, thanks to 10 brake horsepower from the engine that has been redesigned, and also 54 brake horsepower from the bigger 7 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery. It's been created especially for this vehicle. It's only going to weigh 1,772 kilograms, and it is going to be the fastest, most powerful Lamborghini ever, with a 0 to 62 sprint time of just 2.4 seconds. So that's 0.1 of a second quicker than the Aston Martin Valhalla, and just 0.1 of a second slower than the Ferrari SF90 XS. Wow. Tops out at 218 mile an hour, gets to 124 mile an hour in 6.7 seconds. Just seems a bit insane, really. Yeah, they've limited it down to 30 examples. 29 have already been sold, and the other one is going to the Lamborghini Museum in Bologna. But do have a click on the Autocar article link in the show notes to have a look at this thing, because it is typically Lamborghini. It's mad. Absolutely mad. And the stats are insane as well. Crikey. Okay, now we move on to points of interest. And unless you were under a rock last week or weren't looking at the internet, you wouldn't realise that it was Rustival 2025 at the British Motor Museum. Alan was there and he got to meet several people, which is good for him. I wasn't there, which I am frustrated at because of my own stupidity of not getting tickets in time. However, it did look a blast. It looked great fun. The weather held off. There are 3 videos in the show notes for this. We have one from Hubnut, we have one from Steph, and one from Furious Driving. All those 3 helped create the Rustival. They helped organize it and help put the show on. Do click a link, each of the links in the show notes. Do watch their videos. Give them some free internet love if you can't support them in any other way. And do enjoy seeing all the mad variety of vehicles that pitched up and all the people were there. Well, I haven't watched all the videos yet myself, but I do know that in Hubnut's video, you do get to see Alan's Lexus. I was going to call it Land Cruiser then. His Lexus. Don't forget, there is a video on our YouTube where Alan walks around and points at things at his Lexus. You can watch that. Do click those links, do have a look, and do put a reminder to get tickets for next year, because it just looks such a fun and happy show. So more of that, please. Right, list of the week. And as there's only me, I'm going to pick a slightly smaller one. And this is from Top Gear, and it's titled, Here are 13 of the strangest concept cars you've probably never seen. And to be fair, I haven't seen many of these. There's a few I have seen, but many I haven't. And there is a wide gambit of concept cars here. Some are more successful than others, shall we say. Yes, and others you can see have led to vehicles we've got on the road. But the one I'm going to choose is number 13, and it is the Volvo T6 Roadster from 2005. And wow. You know when PT did a sort of roadster thing, I think TV's Paul Cowland has got one. It's along those vibes, but more so. And it just looks fabulous. Absolutely wonderful, silly, crazy. What one would hope from concept cars that are not effectively a production car, just needing some door handles and wing mirrors on it. No, this is all the cars in there are definitely the we are playing with an idea, or we're just playing. And the Volvo Roadster, I think, was just playing, and it's wonderful for it. Do click on the Top Gear link in the show notes. Do have a little look around and see if you too agree with that, or which one would you rather have from the full list. Okay, that means we have only got the and finally. And it's that time of year again. The Hot Wheels Legend Tour UK has finished, and they have selected a winner. And this was done at the NEC, where they were part of Slam's UK Gravity Show. And they had 7 cars on display at the show, which was down from 200 entrants. They had a Jaguar Mark 7. There's also a classic Polo, which won the public vote. But the judging panel was Hot Wheels designer Charlie Angelo. There was Nicola Hume, there was Jordan Clark, and Matt Armstrong. And between them, they decided that a heavily modified BMW 3 Series was the one to represent the UK. And it was an E21 1982 3 Series, and it was created by a father and son team, Paul and Ethan Foster, from Wickford in Essex. And it is suitably Hot Wheels. It's mad. They have done so much to this. You do click the Motoring Research article link in the show notes, because they crammed a Rover V8, a 5-litre Rover V8 in there. It's given it side exhaust, DTM gearbox, Quaife limited slip differential, adjustable coilovers, and Willwood brakes, as well as so many aesthetic and cosmetic changes. It is just brilliant. I love it. I love it. Well, good luck to them when it gets to the full Legends Tour, and hopefully the Britain can win once again. And that rounds us out for the show this week. Parish notes, we're going to be a day early next week. I've got to go off and do a car thing. So we're going to be recording on the Monday for release on the Tuesday next week. But after that, we should be back to some sort of normal-ish schedule again. And that means that all I've got left to say is that don't forget, between now and next week, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts with the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. You can also support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. The best way to get in touch with me is if you search for Crack Windscreen on Blue Sky. Failing that, if you prefer LinkedIn, I am there under my full name. And if you would like to get in touch with Alan, the best way is to use Blue Sky, where he is at AJP Bradley. That's Bradley. We'll be back very soon, but until then, he's not been Alan Bradley. I've been Andrew Clues, and safe motoring.